All right. What a difference a week makes. Having to wear my hat. Got my see, there's my gloves. Got my, hi Susan. I gotta figure out my angle for you guys because like the sun's a little annoying in this spot. So last week, hi Steve, give me a mic check please. Let me see where I can get to where I'm not squinty faced the whole time. Amy is here. She's just sorting through our paperwork.
Trying to get up.
Yeah, because you were sitting on the stairs a little cold.
Made a mistake of sitting.
On those steps is cold.
I'm in the cognito. You can't see me.
Yeah, I know.
Probably can't hear me either, so.
No, you might want to take that.
Alright. Take this off and breathe. Good fresh air.
Mm-hmm. So last week, we were on the other side of the square.
Yes.
No jackets, no hats.
We were a little chilly though.
It wasn't like this
bad.
though.
Yeah.
See, I have my gloves on.
Big difference a week makes.
Mm-hmm. And we have a lot more research for this, and I have a book in my bag too, this week.
I'm busy.
But you know what? The sad part is that there's more.
Oh, we didn't even cut into it. I mean, it's just, there's so much great history here on not even just the Jewish merchants and business owners through the square, but just all of them, really all merchants. And so it just, really there's a rich history that when given the time and opportunity, which we don't always have.
No.
We could really, someone needs to write a book. Why don't you write a book?
Supposedly, I was told that I am writing a book to
Oh.
get my PhD, and it's going to be about the cemetery.
Well, who told you that? That sounds good.
A
Also-
former board chairwoman.
Oh, I'll support that. Sure.
And then the other day, I was like, let me look and see what that looks like. The amount of coursework I got to do. I'm like, can I just write the book and get the PhD? But
Ain't nobody got time for that.
no.
So today on History Loves Company, we are going to do a part 2 of our Jewish history in Marietta, and really mostly focusing on the businesses of the Marietta Square, because again, we could really go outside the square and there's just so much rich history, but for now, because we've got in our archives and in other repositories photographs and newspaper articles about the business district right here on the square, this is where we're really going to focus again today.
Yeah.
And last week, who did we cover?
In a nutshell, quoting from one of the ads we'll talk about today, we did the earliest ones that we knew, which was Raphael Hirsch
Yes.
and Bertha Schoenthal. And those were on the north side. We're not saying that we won't talk about businesses on the north side, but we're actually on the south side of the square today. We are
all over.
Well, yeah, but our current location, you and I,
yes.
is on the south side this time,
Yes.
in the gazebo, like we're going to get
Yes.
married. We're in the gazebo. And so we only talked about 2, and we kind of went up until Leo Frank, like right at that
Yeah.
moment.
Mhm.
So if you're not, we've done a whole video on this, we've talked about this before,
Right.
but we're talking right in the early part of World War I, so 13, 14, 1915, all of that. And so this is kind of where we're picking up.
Where we're picking up. There
Yeah.
was an influx of Jewish business families who, and really I say families because it really was, they were family operations. It wasn't just the businessman, the owner, it was the wives and children were all involved. So, what's a loud siren?
It was PD. He was
So,
going that
okay.
way.
PD's busy. So, I think, just to give a general answer to a question of the religious side of things, we don't have a lot of information about where these families went to, Temple.
Atlanta, usually.
Yeah, usually to Atlanta. We don't know specifics about that. But I did get some information. Oh, and a lot of this information as well, as we mentioned last week, came
Major
from,
shout out.
Yes, major shout out to our friend Philip Goldstein, who is just a huge repository of information, knowledge, archives, all kinds of stuff. He's got a great history saved of this community. Not just Jewish community, but Marietta in general. So he's a good friend of ours and a good friend of the museum's, and we greatly appreciate all that he's done for us, specifically for these 2 videos and in the past too. So This is from Philip. When I asked him about, what practicing, what synagogues or what temples they went to, he said most early Jews through the mid-70s in Cobb likely belonged to either temple of, and excuse my pronunciation, Ahava, okay, originally Orthodox and then conservative movement. I believe the first synagogue that was built, maybe in the early 80s in Cobb County.
1980s. Let's preface that.
Oh,
we did talk earlier.
yes,
Let's
sorry.
1980s. Let's preface it.
1980s, yes. So this is relatively fresh history.
I mean, that's young history. Young history.
Yes. It's not even history.
No, not really.
In Cobb County was
Etz Chaim.
Where'd you learn to speak that?
I pass that one all the time.
Oh.
That's on Old Canton Road in East Cobb, like you're going towards Roswell Road.
Okay. And that's a conservative sect, movement in East Cobb.
I'm sorry. That one's on Indian Trail on Roswell Road, so a little bit farther down.
Okay.
The other one, Temple Cole Emeth, is the one at Old Canton Road and near Old Canton Road and Sewell Mill.
Right. And there are now multiple synagogues in Cobb County covering Orthodox, Conservative, and Reform congregations.
I think I need to take you back out to true East Cobb and show you those places. I'll drive this time since I know how to get there. Because last time we messed up, but this time I'll drive.
Yeah, that's not good.
I know exactly where they are.
Took an hour to get to East Cobb.
Not even.
Okay, so anyway, so that's just a little bit about where they were practicing their religion in Cobb County, which again, before the 70s, they all had to go to Atlanta because there really was nothing in Cobb County.
And the main temple there, I can't remember the name of the book, but I read about it. It was a temple that actually was bombed.
Yes, there was a big
and there's a book
that.
about that, and I've read it, but I don't have it anymore.
It's a famous, temple bombing there.
Yeah,
so picking back up around 1915, 1916, or a little earlier, you mentioned the Leo Frank trial, and again, we've done a whole series of videos talking in depth about the Leo Frank trial and the murder of Mary Fagan, and those videos can be found on our Facebook page or on our YouTube page.
Yes, which Anna has put the link to the YouTube page.
Yeah. So again, we're not going to go into detail about that, other than to say that one thing that I don't know if it was mentioned in our videos, but that popped up in today's research was how the other Jewish merchants on the square were being targeted and threatened during this time. So specifically the time between when Leo Frank was, his sentence was commuted from death penalty to life
without parole?
Without parole, I think.
Something like, yeah.
And he was sent down to Milledgeville prison. Between that time and when a group of vigilantes from Marietta went down and kidnapped him and then lynched him from a tree here in Marietta. So between that time, which is in 1915.
Yeah, it's like June of 1915, because I think that's where the newspapers articles I just printed out, till like August. His death is in August. So like a 2-month period. But
I'm going to find these articles.
So last week, I mean, the two businesses that I talked about, Hirsch's and Schoenthal, were gone by that point. But some of the businesses that we do know that were here were Goldstein, Saul's, Fines. So you do have a few merchants.
Was Goldstein that early? I don't think he got here till the 20s.
Oh, maybe it was right after.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I don't think so.
But Kaplan's was after that. So, but you do have Saul's for sure, and Fines were both here.
Yeah. So we just looked up in some national newspapers to see. First, I started with the Marietta paper to see if they mentioned anything about these notices being put on the front doors of Jewish merchants around the Marietta Square, basically threatening them to leave or their building would be burned down. And of course, the Marietta paper did not mention it at all. But if you look at, this is one, is this going to be backwards?
It's backwards.
Okay.
They can read backwards.
No, they can't.
I give them a lot more credit than you are. All right, hold on. I'm going to turn it around. Come over this way. Now come towards me. All right, so you guys, it says Marietta Jews warned to quit county at once. So that's the main title. They're not going to be able to read the whole article because it's too tiny.
Yeah, but okay. Well, just in a nutshell, again, lots of nutshells today.
But this is across like the country, like north, south, everywhere.
Yeah,
this one's,
that's the New York Tribune. There's the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette.
It's not surprising it's in a New York paper because Frank was from New York.
Right.
But
it was all over. The News
Yeah.
Herald in Franklin, Pennsylvania.
I don't know where that
The Sun in New York. The News and Observer in Raleigh, North Carolina. That's
The same one, it's 2 pages.
So basically, they're telling this story about how there's been a group of Atlanta Jews who are petitioning to Judge Slayton, who
Not Judge, Governor.
no. Oh yeah, Governor Slayton.
No,
but
Governor.
No, Dorsey. Judge Dorsey.
Oh, Judge Dorsey, but Slayton's involved.
Sorry,
yeah.
yes. Okay. So they're petitioning to Dorsey to try to get some extra protection for their friends and family up in Marietta who are being targeted. And of course, he called up his buddy Herbert Clay, who was the he was this state solicitor general at that
And
time.
former
That's what it
mayor
was.
of Marietta.
Yeah, and he was like, "Oh, it's no problem, but I'll make sure they're not bothered." You know.
I'll
Well,
protect
meanwhile,
them.
he was involved, and he was one of the ringleaders of the group who kidnapped Frank and lynched him. So, anyway, so the Atlanta Jewish community is trying to protect the Marietta Jews at this time, and that's why all these newspapers are running these articles talking about how the Jews are being targeted. And now I've never seen one of these bulletins. I would
No.
love to see one at some point. I don't know if anything ever actually happened because, again, unless the national newspapers covered it, we would know.
I checked August of 1915 to see if there was anything,
Yeah.
and I didn't see anything. And then 1916 didn't have anything. So
Yeah.
using the same search term.
So, I mean, at the very least, business was awkward for a little while. I mean,
Yeah.
no better way to say it. I don't know how they survived or how long it took. What?
Look, see,
You were so
I
good.
was right.
Goldstein's 1912 through the present. Okay, yes. And at first it was Philip Goldstein.
Well, before we-
Marietta Bargain House. That's what it was.
Oh, okay.
First. Okay.
So before that,
yeah.
Raymond Abraham Fine was here before Frank. So
You want to start with
let's
Fines?
start with him because his story's a little bit shorter.
Let me get his stuff.
So again, we were dividing and conquering. So Fine's store was actually on the north side of the square, where I'm going to look behind me, where the butcher and the baker is now. Had to look and see.
Is it back there?
Let's
see.
Let's see. It is.
I'm going to do this and turn it around so we can zoom in. Fines was...
Where the butcher and baker is next
Ready?
to Max.
Buckle up, we're going to zoom. Right. Where's my finger?
find it.
Oh gosh, where did my finger go?
I don't know, but
Anyways, it's the building in the middle there.
all right. Hold on,
Okay, I'm going to back up a little bit.
Oh, back up. That one.
Wait, where's your finger? Oh, there. Okay, yes, that building
So,
right there.
Here's the corner. This is where Max is, and at that point it was Hodges. This is 1927. Here's Fines. There's Shillings, and eventually Shillings moves over. But that's where
Right.
it is.
Okay, cool. Cool.
Worked out?
Yeah, we'll keep standing there and you can
Oh,
talk.
okay.
Or do you want to switch it around?
No, I don't care.
Okay.
Whatever you want to do. So Mr. Fine is actually born in Russia. So, all right, 1870s, 1880s. There's a gap with his birth time frame. But you need to remember when we're talking Russia in that time period, you are talking all of Eastern Europe, Lithuania, Estonia, all that, Ukraine, all that. Well, he petitioned. This is what Amy and my favorite part was when he petitions to become a U.S. citizen. What he ends up doing is coming from Russia through Germany to Baltimore, like we talked about last week, a lot of Baltimore, makes his way to Macon, Georgia, applies for naturalization there, but doesn't get it till he's here. And let me make sure I get the date right. 1911, sorry. January of 1911. But it says on his paperwork that he had to relinquish all of his loyalty to the former country that he lived in and was born in. But it also meant he had to relinquish all loyalty to Nicholas II, Emperor of all the Russians.
Oh, and what a character Nicholas is. I mean,
Yeah.
for him to pop up in our history and any little that's one of my favorite
Oh yeah, totally.
parts of history is Russian history.
And also, if you look back at naturalization papers too, it's very important that you had to sign stating that you were not a polygamist nor believer in the the following polygamy. So just important for all of you to know. Just saying.
Which, you know, I do want to point out that, let me turn this around for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Not that I'm a supporter of polygamy, although an extra hands in the house every once in a while, I'd be okay with that. I'd take a sister wife or two. Let me just put that out there. However, it is it's part of a religious belief system.
Yeah.
And so we as Americans, our country is, you know, based on freedom of religion. So that to me is interesting, and that's a whole side note that we could probably go down a whole good conversation when we're sitting around drinking. But anyways, the fact that you had to sign that specifically as an outsider coming into America is...
Well, I think that would be very interesting to... Oh, I'll
Come on over.
I'll come over this way. It would be very interesting, actually, to delve into loyalty papers that people had to sign
Yeah.
for the government.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them being polygamy, but yeah, it'll be backwards. But you guys can see it does somewhere. I don't know. Nicholas, Russians, all that. But like we're total history nerds. So when you're like, you tell me that I can connect Marietta to Tsarist Russia, I'll do it. Yes. So, but yeah, Mr. Fines, he has a store on the north side, and then he is here. I thought I had printed the obit, but maybe it got mixed up. Oh no, I did. Yay me. He dies in 1952, but he actually stops running. I know, John. It's because she talks too loud. That's the problem.
No, because I made you stand on the other side.
Well,
So,
again,
we'll stay here.
We'll stay here.
Thanks, Dad.
See, he wants to hear me, not you, so that's very important. So Mr. Fine died in 1952, but he had been, and it says here, a native of Lithuania. So at that time when he was born, it was actually Russia, but then it's actually in Lithuania now. But he retired from business in 1938. So his store was here from around 1910 to 1938. So he did have a long business here.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other one, before we get to some of the newer ones, Saul's kind of has an early history as well. So Saul's actually has a couple of spots, but the main spot, let this bus go past real quick. This main spot is on the south side of the square. So actually, if you guys can kind of see behind my shoulder here, it's the one that says German store, that one. Yeah, that's it. I put these notes together for this one, so I don't blame her. Hold on, don't get in the screen.
Oh.
But you see where, behind me, where it's right, I had it. There it is. Where Rocket Fizz is, and the pole's there, but look, right where the local exchange is, that's where Saul's was. But Saul's was first. Is that all of it? Oh, you got stuff too.
I put stuff in there
Well, let
too.
me do the early part and you pick up.
Okay.
So Saul's was originally the German store. So come a little closer. The German store, which you'd think like during World War I they wouldn't want to call it that, but they did for a little bit.
It's like marketing 101. You don't have like the Nazi store. You wouldn't have
the German store.
the Bin Laden store.
No, he wouldn't. So we've been joking about talking about things like in a nutshell, and it actually comes from this. So Louis Saul is the first one that we've come across, but there's multiple Saul family members. Saul's department store at one point had 11 stores around metro area, like Cartersville, Gainesville, Lawrenceville, Marietta. I'm just going to say this, that Marietta was the flagship store. I'm just going to say that. They also had one at Cobb Center, so any of you who shopped at Cobb Center, there was one there. But in a nutshell, Mr. Saul, at one point, this is 1916, he goes bankrupt. They sell his stock. He buys it back at a cheap price, which I didn't know you could do that. And at the same time, buys the stock of a fire sale. Quote,
Slightly burned.
no, it was damaged and some is only slightly soiled.
Slightly. A little smell of smoke.
Well, in this one, in one of the things it says the 500 pairs of suspenders were slightly soiled. Okay. But he has this big store, and he always seemed to kind of get himself in a little bit of trouble, like bankruptcy and having to sell his stock, because May of 1916, he's having this huge fire and bankrupt stock sale. Then, no. Okay, sorry about that. I don't know why. We're in the middle of the square. Anyway,
we turned the camera around, and apparently that's the key.
so we have to stand this way with
Yes,
the fountain
facing
behind us.
Facing the sun.
It was actually where oh! Did you see the part where the sign was, Philip? Am I missing? Hold on. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to. It was later location.
Later location of Kaplan's.
So the 1927 picture. Huh? I'm confused now, Philip. But thank you for the clarification.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I didn't realize Shillings
So
was on that.
Fines,
I didn't realize Shillings was on that side.
Fines was over here. He's saying we're Kish.
Okay.
Yeah. So further east than where
Okay.
we were picked.
Then the butcher and the baker. Okay, I gotcha.
Where that picture was? Oh, it was this block.
Right, but I didn't realize Shillings was on that block. I
Oh.
thought Shillings was always.
Okay.
That's where I got
All right,
confused.
Wrong block.
Wrong block.
Okay.
Right side of the street, just wrong block.
Yes.
Okay, so before we got cut off, I was saying how Saul had this whole bankrupt fire sale in May of 1916, and then in October of 1916, he has a mortgage lifting sale because he's still got too much stuff. And I'm like, but
Lots of sales.
lots and lots of sales. But yeah, so the store was the German store, and it becomes Saul's kind of before the end of World War I. Makes sense. Might want to change it. But I will give you this one. So Saul's, as I said, I'm going to turn the camera around real quick
Okay.
before you show those pictures. So this is a better angle. You guys see where Local Exchange and Rocket Fizz are? That's the spot we are talking about right now, where Saul's was, and it was definitely a family affair with that store, because again, as I mentioned, there were multiple locations. And you know, it's funny, you see a lot of obituaries for people who were soldiers at Saul's, and they were, you know, there was a lot of that.
A lot of employees.
A lot,
over there.
for sure.
So what I found, for those who aren't aware, and I may have mentioned it, I think I did last week.
You did last weekend.
The Bremen Jewish Heritage Center in downtown Atlanta is an amazing museum and archives. And they're also even more wonderful than I knew, because they have their archives, a lot of them digitized and with images, not just indexed, but actually images of the digital archives. So I was able to search online. Playing off of. I know. What is it? What Wi-Fi is it using?
It's not using Wi-Fi. That's the problem.
What is it?
Well, no, it should
Oh.
use cellular data.
There we are.
Okay,
Sorry, guys.
seriously, Square, you're like, we did great last week.
It's the cell towers.
What we will
Okay.
say is, because you guys love us so much, when I put it on YouTube as one conducive thing, just watch us again.
Yeah, yeah. She'll merge all this together, but we're.
I
Gonna,
don't have to merge it. It'll show up right.
Ooh, it's the magic.
Live won't.
The magic of the internet. So what I found at the Bremen Digital Archives were some photographs of inside of Saul's in Marietta. And so this doesn't matter if it's backwards or not, but you can kind of
They're shopping.
see. Yeah. Nice big store there. This is from, let me see what year this was.
Should have wrote it on that paper.
It's right here. This is 1950s. 1950s.
Anna, are we still glitchy? Let me know. You can text me. I got my phone.
It's another image inside. Again, this is inside Saul's on the square in the 1950s. And
So, like, if you went to Local Exchange right now or Rocket Fizz, there is a wall between the two.
yeah,
Whereas these pictures, there was no wall.
there was
That's
no
why
wall.
it was a big building.
Yeah. So here we go again. All right. Now, one thing I haven't checked to see, was there a back entrance in Saul's? Because if you notice on this image, you do have some African American women here shopping, and of course the shopping itself wasn't segregated, but the entrances often were. So I don't know if there was a back entrance like McClellan's had a back entrance. I don't know if Saul's did as well. We have to go back there and look and see if they did. And then the other image that I found was, this is Virginia and Milton Saul on their wedding day in Atlanta, January 4th, 1950.
Did I give you that?
Beautiful picture there. And then another picture, this was interesting. It was in 1945. It's dinner at Aunt Fanny's Cabin. So for those who remember that place, it was a famous restaurant down in Smyrna with members of the Sigma Gamma from Emory University, and the Sauls are in here somewhere as well. But it's a group of college kids. So.
Okay, so
Sauls.
in order to like keep going, I will recommend, this is going to be backwards, this book, History in Focus, available in our museum store for $10, and has pictures of many, many businesses around the square, many from our collection, many from the collection of Mr. Philip Goldstein, who was so kind enough to share information with us. If you don't have this book, it is sold exclusively at our museum store, and Anna will be kind enough to put the link in. Thank you. Oh, and the Bremen one. Thank you, Anna. I was going to ask that too. So,
You do Kaplan's?
yeah, let's do Kaplan's.
All right.
So way back, I think it was the second video we ever did, we talked about the courthouse in East Park Square.
Yes.
So if you guys ever, well, actually, if you want to turn and let them see, in case they have never seen.
Okay, this is what East Park Square looks like now. So right there, from that white building on the left, there's the big courthouse.
Yep.
And it goes all the way to the behind the what were we just on?
The gazebo.
The gazebo.
Okay, so the part with the clock tower,
Yes.
and that building, that was all shops.
Yes.
Remember when we were
Yes, that
discussing?
block was all shops. Yes, correct, on East Park. And then this building on the right that's multi-tiered over here, that's where the old courthouse was.
Yeah.
That everybody misses and loves. So we're going to be focusing on where the block with the clock tower right
Yeah.
there. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so I'm over here somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had a number of different shops in that block, and the first one from the 20s was Kaplan's. But what's interesting is Benny Kaplan actually started business in 1919 with a gentleman named Mr. Bloom. I don't know Mr. Bloom's first name. Trying to find info. Couldn't find him. And so Bloom and Kaplan were together for about a year and a half. Kaplan leaves. I don't know what the reason was, but he did put in, I told you this, he put in an advertisement saying he would sell his car, and if you had something like a diamond to trade him, he'd trade his car for a diamond.
Sure.
I mean, I would trade my car for a really nice
It's a
diamond.
good one.
I mean,
I mean,
it gotta be good.
It's got to be a really good one.
A really good one, for sure. But he ends up becoming manager at the Globe store, and then he buys the Globe store from his boss, Millender, and you're like, you know, you kind of didn't do too well the first time around. Okay, second go. He does much better in the second go, turns the store into Kaplan's. It's on East Park.
East Park.
I believe our cash register is from there.
Yes, we do have a very heavy cash register from. It was first from.
No, it's Kaplan's, yeah.
Well, first from Kaplan's,
Yeah.
and then it was so heavy they just left it there when leaders came in.
Yeah.
So the leaders ended up with it.
And we just leave it on a pedestal, and we just push it
Yes.
the pedestal with our feet because it is
Yeah.
heavy.
Yeah.
It looks like wood, but it's metal.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised it wasn't burnt or used during World War II, like as scrap or something.
know.
But anyway, so Kaplan's opens his business, and what you see with Kaplan's is he's doing really well, but when World War II hits, he ends up getting into a little bit of a legal issue with the Office of Price Administration, the OPA. Not OPA, but OPA.
Opa.
OPA, yeah.
Or Opa's grandfather is
It is,
Aw.
and it's also a German and Greek term. But
Oh.
so he ends up buying shirts through a black market dealer, and he sells those shirts at a price that is higher than what the OPA had put down. So the government was trying to curb inflation and trying to price gouging. So they would set prices for certain things like clothing, some food stuff. But Mr. Kaplan, unfortunately, had broken that law and was sued by the federal government. Actually went to grand jury in 1946. But luckily for him, the OPA ends up dissolving in 1947 before his court case happens.
Oh, bummer.
It was like $3,000 at that time. I mean, that's a lot of money. But what he ends up doing, I think smartly enough, is they go into partnership with a family called Leaders.
Yes. And
So-
leaders are still around. You can
right.
still shop at Leaders, right?
Not on the square,
No.
but you can still shop at Leaders. Yes, you
Mhm.
can. I wanted to make sure. Oh, I wanted to show you guys this one. This is a. Oops, hold that. It'll be backwards. It'll be like they're okay.
Well, I don't
See,
like
it's
backwards.
it's only black and white. It's a little slip. It's the receipt from Kaplan's department store because none of us keep receipts anymore.
Yeah, that's
But this
true.
one is from 1946. I wonder if they bought shirts. Oh no, it's a balancing account. I wonder if they bought
Oh.
shirts though beforehand.
Yes, that would be funny.
Yes, and this was
this
Mrs. J.B. Glover Jr.
Oh, that's nice. Okay.
And they Kaplan's was outfitters for the whole family. So leaders. This one was really cool. Like I was
Yes.
really excited by this.
Yes, you go ahead.
So you have Mrs. Leader Lilo, which you guys know Amy and I are Disney people, so I always want to say Lilo and Stitch. But I know, right? She's Mrs. Lise Lottie Blanche Leader. I love that name. It's so nice. And she was married to Hans David Leader. But like many immigrants, when he came here, he changed his name to Henry instead of Hans.
Mm-hmm.
But I found really interesting is, like Mr. Fine, you have the naturalization papers.
Mhm.
Theirs are a little bit later. It's actually, make sure I have the date right.
39.
May 14, 1939. And they come through from Germany to England, England to Netherlands, Netherlands to Louisiana, Louisiana to Columbus, Georgia, and
Columbus,
then
Georgia.
to here.
Yes.
It's a long thing.
Yes.
But you're talking 1939.
Yeah.
Let's remember what's happening. Nazis have been in power for years at this point. And this is a Jewish family who knows that it's not safe.
Yeah.
So they get out, they come, their naturalization papers have them in Columbus, but they come here and we see them merge with Kaplan's in 47. Let me show you guys.
Yeah, show her a picture.
There's Lilo right there. What was interesting, I think I told you this, they lived over, oh, hold on, let me show you Henry's picture too, before I forget. There's a lot of paperwork in here, which the historian in me loves. I love all this paperwork. I know. Oops, I lost your paper clip.
No.
Anybody finds a paper clip on the square, it's ours. There's Henry right there. But they have 2 sons. Frank is still running.
Yeah,
the
so
business.
their business now is back off of Church Street Extension.
Yeah.
And it's behind a Greek restaurant, and there's
It's Greek
and
to me.
Zaxby's is over there. It's in that shopping center. Actually, they may own that whole shopping center.
They might,
I
yeah.
think they might. Yeah.
Oh, here's a good picture.
Yeah.
So this one is in the book too, but this is Leaders on the east side, and you got all these other businesses here. And then we can share this picture. This one's ours. That's not a problem. But
And that's East Park. So that.
it is East Park.
And so wait, put that
Why
back up for
Here,
a second.
actually, why don't you go over with this one? This one's a little bit better to see. Why don't you
Okay.
go over and I'll
Yes.
turn. This one's a little bit better. All right, hold on just a second. This way, this way. Up, 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 up. All right, so you guys can, up a little bit more, please. Nobody wants to see your hat. There we go. So you can see you got Leaders First, the Youth Center, Goldstein's, and Joann's. This is 1956. All of those businesses are Jewish owned,
Yep.
right? I'm not missing that.
Nope, that's correct.
So I can share that picture with you guys in color. It's really cool.
Yeah.
All right. So what was interesting in 1947, Pine Forest News, if you guys know where the Pine Forest area is, it talks about the Leaders, Henry and his wife Lilo, and they lived on Claymore Drive. But what was interesting is they lived here. They'd been in Marietta for the past 2 years. They had 2 children, Eddie, who was 5, and 2-year-old Franklin. What was interesting is it says French-born Mrs. Leader lived in Switzerland for 15 years, where she received her formal education and also where her father was stationed as consul for the Baltic states. She attended finishing school in Switzerland. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Jugendin, Switzerland. There we go. Before entering university, where she majored in languages and physical education. She speaks 5 languages. I thought fascinating.
Yeah.
Skiing and ice skating were her favorite sports in Switzerland. It's cold enough to do that right now. And then she also held the junior women's championship for skiing in both Germany and Switzerland at one time. She had to be good.
That's impressive.
For
to
sure.
be the best in those two countries.
Yes. So, and then what else is interesting?
And then
is,
she moves here.
I know, where
it's
there's
like,
no winter sports.
Never
Like,
to ski again.
Never to ski again. There's no winter sports. I didn't even think about that. And it says here too, any antique lover would be greatly interested in seeing the furniture which the leaders brought from Switzerland with them.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if they were escaping occupied, I mean, Switzerland was neutral, I know that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's impressive that they were able to bring things with them
Mm-hmm.
from.
Yeah.
But,
Well, it's just before, I think, probably.
Well,
They
it's just
probably
before-
got out before it got too serious.
Well,
We need to do our math. If anybody out there has a working knowledge of that off the top of your head,
I mean, but
we can look it up and research it, but off the top of my head, I don't remember exactly
I mean,
when.
if you look, okay, she arrives here in May of 1939. That's pretty tight. But again, if you reading it back, as I just,
Switzerland?
well, no, from the Netherlands, but reading
Oh.
it back, as I said a few minutes ago, England to Netherlands to the, so maybe they were able to move
Yeah.
things, but they knew what was happening. It was
Yeah.
clear that they
Yeah.
had to, but leaders. Let me show this other picture because this is where it moved to. If you don't mind taking
No.
that one.
Nope.
This is from the 1970s. So when they tore out all this stuff, they had to move leaders just over a little bit. You're good. So you got leaders, and it's Linear Shoes, and then Joann's, all on the west side of the square. So I'm going to turn this around so you guys can see where exactly I'm talking about. Excuse the reindeer. But right there where the ballet is, that's where Leaders was located,
Yep.
in that area.
And Joann's was the Piastra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. So, all right. Switch us back around. There's the lovely courthouse, East Park Square. But yeah, they that's a family business that you can still go to. I think, is it Leaders Big and Tall?
Yes, I think it is.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Which one you got there?
All right, so I've got Murray's.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll swap for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Murray's was, oh gosh, let's see, I'll read that in a minute, but his shop
South side.
was on South Park Square. Yes. Okay. So this is a photograph of Murray Goldwasser, right there. Okay. This is from an article, an MDJ article in 1988. Getting a little close. And it's a really, he's a Jewish immigrant who comes over. Let's see. It says, when the stranger on the American train gave Murray Goldwasser a piece of gum in 1921, he didn't know whether to swallow it or spit it out. The 17-year-old Polish Jew had never seen gum before. On a hunch, he spit it out. The train ride, like Goldwasser's long life, was full of difficulties, but eventually led to the determined teenager to a comfortable end as owner of one of the Marietta Square's most prosperous shoe stores, Murray Shoes. Today, so this is in 1988, today he and his wife Molia, a Russian Jewish immigrant, travel mostly to Europe. They visit their son Jerome, who is a doctor, and is still a doctor out in LA, right?
Yeah.
But even in the light of prosperity, he cannot forget the dark times. He wondered if he would be able to feed the lovely wife he had met on a blind date. I had a good life with my wife, but I had a tough life, he says. Sometimes I couldn't get a job or food. So Goldwasser, who was then 84, left Warsaw, Poland, near the borders of Germany and Russia, and headed for a new life in America in 1921 because, quote, I wanted to make a better living for myself. Everyone in Poland in 1921 were poor farmers raising cattle, potatoes, and white or sugar beets, he said. So his brother was in Macon and paid for I almost said a plane ticket.
A boat?
No, a ticket. Just says ticket. Boat ticket.
I was gonna
yes.
go with boat.
But it was $200 at the time.
That's a lot of money.
For his ticket to America. And after a long voyage by boat, here you go, Goldwasser, who spoke Yiddish, Polish, and a little German, but no English, was shuffled off to Ellis Island because there were too many immigrants pouring into New York. He said, they took my clothes and put them in an oven to sterilize them, but when the clothes came back to me, they were all burned up, and I didn't have anything to wear. He wrote to an uncle in New York who sent him a size 36 pants, which were apparently way too big for him. And so his first sight as he stepped off the train in Atlanta was people chewing sticks, chawing on some sticks. I asked my brother, there's supposed to be plenty of food in America. How come they're chewing sticks? Goldwasser said, my brother told me it was sugar cane, which we don't really do anymore around here.
But, I mean, there's a lot of stick candy. I mean, we
Yeah,
got
that's
that.
true.
Yeah,
The bright dream of America lasted only 2 years for the young immigrant. He went to night school to learn English and worked days for his brother in Macon making shoes. Then his brother died, leaving him without work. Then in 1941, which he actually came up here in 1938. But in 1941, all of his relatives in Poland were killed by the Nazis. An incident which, to this day, he cannot discuss without tears in his eyes. The Depression wiped out a small business he bought after saving for years, leaving him penniless and jobs were impossible to get. He took a streetcar to Marietta from Atlanta in 1938 and opened a ready-wear clothing and shoe shop where the McRae Style Shop is today, and it's on Southside. We'll show you in just a minute. And so he said, the Marietta people were good to me. They patronized me. I've had a tough life. So anyways, that's Murray, and this is a photograph of his shop. 2 photographs, actually. No, this is the shop. Okay, so South Park Square.
Oh, that's a shop, right?
Yeah, that's a shop right there. Which is, where did Philip say it was?
He was next to Saul's. So it would be like where the Bark Street. Because
Yes.
if you look at that one, it's got that one and then Murray. So it's probably next to where Bark Street.
Yeah, where Bark Street
Or
and
there's a lawyer of
the ice cream shop is over there. So you can't see because of this. It's on this building right here. So he was right there.
Hold on,
Okay.
let me see if I can move it over just a little
And
bit.
this is a poor copy.
But yeah, I think you guys can get a better idea, right? Because that bush was kind of in the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
2 down from Saul's. Thank you,
Yeah.
Philip. I appreciate it.
Thank you. So this is a poor copy of an image, but see if you can.
So you've got Reynolds and Farrer's store, and then you've got the little archway door, and then you've got Murray's shoes, and then next to it was McRae Latimer.
And then the picture on the top is actually part of the buildings that are on Church Street. But when they were doing some renovations over there, the owners, Gary Terratute and Gary Leak, they uncovered this sign, which we actually have in our museum collection,
Yes.
and it's gone on display a couple of times for different exhibits.
Yeah.
But the Murray Shoes shop.
Yeah, and then on the back side, it says Style Shop. That's what
yeah,
it says.
that's right.
It's actually a 2-sided
Yeah,
sign.
so he reused his sign.
Hey man, I'm all about economy.
Yes. And so yeah, he opened in 1935 actually. So that early article in 88 was either one of the two is incorrect. Either in 88 he remembered incorrectly when he came to Marietta, or well no, this 1935 Marietta Daily Journal says that he's about to open his shop here. So he's around 35. He's coming. So
The man was 84 years old.
I
He
know.
can remember it the way he wants to. All right, so come on back this way. Look at that big old truck right behind me. All right, which, hold on, let me turn this a little bit.
now we can't discuss the Jewish families in Marietta without the Goldsteins.
Nope, can't, gotta have it.
And again, Philip was such a huge help for us, but his family goes back generations here on the square. His grandfather originally came over, and they have been, their store, Goldstein's, under a couple of different names. One was Philip Goldstein's shop, and then it's Goldstein's, and then they had Mill Inn store as well on Mill Street. They had a number of different businesses. They still own property in Marietta. They're the only family of all of these, other than the leaders, who really aren't on the square anymore, but they're the only family that's still, of the families we've mentioned,
Yeah.
that are still involved here.
And we mentioned it earlier when we were seeing Philip, the only family to own businesses on all sides of the square.
Yes. And Church and Cherokee Street.
Yeah.
They've been everywhere, really.
Yep, for sure.
So to go into their deep history of every store and every shop would be a lot, but here, well, I'll show this picture, and then somewhere in there is our notes on there.
She did the
The
research
years.
on this one, so that's...
Don't blame me.
Well, that's why I can't fill in, because I wasn't doing
Okay.
it. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So I just want to find the pictures. Again, this is from the Bremen Museum. I just have more notes down there that I got to find. So this is the building which you may still recognize. Okay, it says Goldstein's at the top, right there, and that's actually Philip's brother, Jay. And if you notice that, so this was the...
Well, I was going to ask if Philip, if you're still watching, what happened to the G?
Oh, we're missing the G. It's Oldstein's now. But that's the building right there that we're talking about. It's the same building.
I mean, if you
here.
need a place for the G to live, we'll take
take the G.
We'll take it.
Take the G. But if you notice, on the first floor, Tsunami and Eddie's Trick Shop, and at one time that was one big area, and that was Goldstein's.
And didn't you notice earlier that if you're leaving Eddie's,
Yes.
what do you find?
If you're leaving, if you go inside Eddie's Trick Shop and you leave, you look at the door, and if you push the handles on the door, they say Goldstein's on them.
Very cool.
And then as you're also entering and leaving, if you look at the floor, it actually says McClellan's, because that was also the location of McClellan's before Goldstein's. So,
Yep.
So that was an image there that we found. And then also another spot
That's okay, I got it.
where they had, let me turn this around, I'm gonna try this.
Oh,
Right
there you
here.
go. You got skills.
I know, but I just can't see. That was on the North Park Square next to the Strand. They had Goldstein's Men and Boys Shop to the left of the Strand.
See,
and
you
then
see they're using the marquee
Yep.
at the Strand. Very smart.
used the marquee for advertising. And that was in, let me see the year on that. 70s, I think.
70s,
Yeah.
late 70s, early 80s.
Then we also, here, I'll step over here.
Okay,
for this
step
one.
over here. I can
Yeah.
see. I'll make sure. All right, I'm gonna.
These are
Ah,
some of the
Philip,
photos-
thank you. I just was worried.
What?
The G is being replaced.
Oh, good. We need a, wait, our M is, we have a problem with our M.
Oh yeah, how do we get our letters
We need a
replaced too?
spelling guy. We need a letter M. Can you put in a 2-for-1 order? Because
We need more than just the letter M. Late 70s. Thank you, Philip. Yes,
Thanks.
the Strand one was late 70s.
Okay, so these are some of the family photos that we have in our archives, in our digital archives, at the museum. And so they're printed small, so I may need to zoom in or out. So you let me know.
Well, many of them are available in the History and Focus book.
Oh, good. How about I hold it and you can just kind of read what's...
Oh, goodness gracious. You're making me read in it. I really can't. Well, it says Faye Westbrook and Ethel Mulkey Cashin, Eleanor Goldstein, Herbert S. Goldstein, Rose Goldstein. You guys can read it, though. This is 1953. Let me scoot over to the top here. Eleanor and Philip Goldstein on the square, East Park, early 1940s. All right, let's do the middle one. Oh, look at Philip. West Park Square, front of Goldstein's, 1968.
In West Park, this location was where was that one? At that time, I think that's where the ballet
Yeah.
store was. Yeah.
So we've got Goldstein, or Eleanor Goldstein. Look at her doing this split. Oh my gosh, I can't do that. And then we got this one down here, the Mill End Store. And then these last bottom two, 1930s and Mill Street as well. Yeah, I think Philip said that they were in the ballet store, ballet business until 1970.
Yes.
Thank
And
you.
So the Mill End store, I got another great photo somewhere down here that Philip gave us today.
Yeah, so the Mill End Store, guys, was not where Tycoon is, but just kind of next to it, between Tycoon and Paul's Pot Pies. Stockyards there, those businesses. Did you bring it?
I don't know. Maybe I put it on my own.
There were a lot of papers today.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's where that one was. So where are you at?
I'm right here.
Okay. So yeah, so they were all over. You could almost just throw a stone at any building around here, and there was a Goldstein's there at some point.
Yeah, probably.
So they've been good to the city.
That's right.
So, and his dad came over. His dad came over from, or no, not your dad.
Yeah.
His grandfather came over from Romania, and then grandmother from Ukraine, I think, right?
What was Hungary then Ukraine?
Yeah, I think so. And we saw
Your aunt and uncle. Thank you, Philip, for that.
what?
There's
I
so
missed
many
it.
names. His aunt and
Mill End
uncle
Store.
owned the Mill End Store.
Okay, yeah. So then we've got a few other. There was such a long list.
Oh, that's it. That's the one you wanted.
Here's the Mill End Store that Philip, a picture of. This is a line of women outside the Mill End Store on Mill Street that are waiting to get in, I think, for a sale. So that was
That's
a
what
good
I'd be
shot.
doing.
Yeah, in the 50s. There's that shot there. Yeah, and I'd never seen that, so that's cool. And they owned the whole block, he said, from where Paul's Pot Pies was.
I just said that, you weren't listening. It's all right. All right, let's see if she gets it the same way I did. From Paul's Pot Pies to what?
To just before Tycoon.
There you go. Yeah, you passed that question. Good
They did
job.
not have Tycoon. Okay, so a couple other businesses that I quickly was able to find just a one-off article on that were Jewish owned on the square. Fox Jewelry, which we do have pictures of the Strand through the years, and if you notice in the bottom right corner of the Strand, a lot of times you'll see a window.
And there was a sign though in one of them that's higher.
Yeah, it says Fox Jewelry.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's a sign hanging off of the Strand's building, which was let's show y'all the Strand.
See it.
Yeah, it's hard to see, but it's straight through there, right there. So in the bottom right, where the ATM is now, there would have been a window that had the jewelry store in it, Fox Jewelry. And I did find this funny advertisement from 7/29/1954.
That's the best day ever, July 29th. That's my birthday. I'm just not that old. Not like you.
No. But I just thought it was funny that the jewelry store, I'm going to do this.
You wanna go?
Yes.
Yeah, go
Turn
ahead,
around.
go over.
Here, I'll do this.
Okay.
The jewelry store was running a big sale on sheets and towels. So, Fox Jewelers, there it is. Right there, North Park Square, Strand Theater Building.
You could also mail in a coupon.
Yes.
Look at that.
Who knew you could get sheets and towels at a jeweler on the square?
That makes me wonder, was the jewelry part not doing too well?
I don't know. They bring in some other goods. And then the other one that I started to do some history on was Joann's. And I didn't get very far, unfortunately, for this week on Joann's history. But I did find...
Let's preface this. When we say Joann's, we do not mean the fabric shop. Like,
Totally
some
different.
people from not around here think, oh, it's the same thing. No, it's not the same thing. It was a dress. It was a woman's clothing store specifically, but not a fabric shop.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, sorry.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So this was just something that popped up. Remember we mentioned on the east side of the square where the courthouse is now that was all a line of buildings. And when they tore down the old courthouse in the late 60s, like 69, 70,
70s, yeah.
somewhere in there, they also eventually tore down that whole block of buildings, right? Well, there was an article that talked about that. It says the Marietta Housing Authority has started condemnation proceedings against the Joann shop as the final step towards clearing a parcel of Marietta Square property for sale. MHA Director George Green said the authority already owns the property on the east side of the square and is condemning the lease held by the shop operators. Condemnation papers were filed in Cobb Superior Court against Abe Terratute, Ben Schwartzberg, and the shop, who they were owners of Joann's. The Joann shop, along with Leaders Department Store, occupies the last parcel of property involved in the MHA's downtown urban renewal project. Leaders, the Joann shop, and the Youth Center clothing store have been ordered to vacate. Yep. So I just wanted to throw that in there that, these three of these Jewish-owned businesses were forced to vacate their premise from a prime spot on the square and find, I guess at that point, maybe that's when Leaders moved.
Yeah, that picture I have is a little bit is a little bit after that, not much longer.
Yeah, so I guess Leaders eventually move, and Joann moves over to West Park where the ballet store is, and then the youth center. I don't know where that was. I don't think it survived. I think it closed down. If someone knows otherwise, let us know. But yeah, those are just a couple of things there. So.
Wow, that was a lot that we just went through.
I think that's about it for today.
There's always more. So,
yes.
Let's see. Next week is Christmas, so we won't be doing a video. I'm hoping to do something. I'm not going to commit myself just in case, but hopefully what we will do is have something available, because if I don't get to it, I'm not. And then the week after is New Year's Day.
Oh.
But we're not working that day either.
You don't want to see us.
But you know what we could do? We do actually have to work New Year's Eve that day. Maybe we'll do something. I
don't know. We'll see. We've got some more up our sleeve for sure. So we will definitely be continuing this History Loves Company programming through 2021 and beyond.
Until we get sick of each other, which I mean, we're at 16 years now. We're doing pretty good.
That's
so.
not going to happen.
No,
And
not anytime
until we
soon.
run out of places, which that's
not
probably
going to happen.
So we're here. You're stuck with us.
So yeah, if anybody has appointments to see Santa today or over the weekend, you'll see one of us sometime. If not, you'll see our coworkers. What do we have?
Oh, Philip said youth center was purchased by my father and included in our business on North Park Square. Yay! Thank you. Thank you.
But also, you know, the reason that we started this topic was because last week was the beginning of Hanukkah, and Hanukkah has just ended. So we hope everybody in our Jewish community around everywhere has had a wonderful Hanukkah. We hope everybody who does not celebrate Hanukkah has a wonderful Christmas or whatever holiday that you celebrate. And if we don't see you before the 2021 rolls around, which we are all very excited about, it's got to be better than 2020.
I don't know.
It's got to be. But if not, we will see you. I think maybe we'll do something. We'll figure out something.
What, you mean on screen?
Yeah,
Like live in person?
Maybe not live, but we could always pre-record something to.
You know
for
what?
New Year's Eve.
Just keep following our page every day, and maybe we'll pop up. You never know. How about that?
I did have an idea for something without you. Just saying.
Fine with me.
You did. No, just saying. But we do want to thank everybody again for watching us and sticking with us this whole crazy year that it's been.
Yes.
And we will see you soon. I'm gonna go with soon.
Yeah, we don't know when, but soon.
It will be soon because we just have way too much fun.
Yes. All right.
And you guys are great. So thank you. Have an awesome holiday. Bye.
Bye.